Parks and Recreation Commission meeting for Thursday, April 20th to order. So this is unusual. This is the only meeting every year that I wind up starting the meeting because we have election of officers. We have a new commission. So most of you are returning except for Thera and for Jeff. So we have Thera Cox, who is has been appointed by the mayor to serve a 1-year term. So welcome, Thera. And then we have Jeff White, who is filling a 3-year term, which only has 1 year left on it. So a 3-year term, 1-year term. So they'll both be up again for reappointment next year, potentially. So I don't know, Thera, you want to give a little something about yourself real quick?
Sure.
And if you can, just so everybody can hear, talk into the microphone, and
It's okay.
you can pull it towards you too.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. I can't really tell. Well, let's see. I've lived in Ames for over 20 years now, and this is the second time I've lived in Ames. And I have some passion around Parks and Rec because I grew up in Iowa City, Iowa. I know that's like the other part of Iowa, but and our family used a lot of Park and Rec facilities as a child and programming as a child. And my husband and I involved our children in Park and Rec programming as well as a family, and have always felt that was a part of a strong community. And I'm nearing the end of a nursing career and was looking for opportunities to give back to my community, and saw this opportunity was available and thought I would apply for the opportunity. I have passion around lifelong health and wellness, and that was part of my interest as well. So
Very good. So welcome.
thank you.
Okay, Jeff.
My name's Jeff White. We've been in Ames for 33 years now, raised a couple of kids here. I'm retired as of about year and a half ago. I was an environmental specialist with the DNR for many years. I'm a geologist. I'm also hard of hearing. So even with my hearing aids, I tend to read people's lips and really appreciate when you speak into the microphone because it helps me a lot. And I'm thrilled to be on doing this and doing what I can to help with the city. I'm a paddler and bicyclist and fisherman and a number of things like this. And I am thrilled that the city has such a viable Parks and Rec commission and program. So thank you.
Welcome, Jeff. All right. So what we'll do is move on to item 3, so election of officers. So open up nominations for chairperson.
Since she does such a wonderful job each and every month and has been a real rock for this committee, I'd like to nominate Sarah.
I'd like to second the nomination.
Okay. And any other nominations for chairperson? All right, hearing none, close nominations. So any discussion for
No.
Sarah?
She's awesome.
I don't know why other people don't want to give speeches at the ribbon cuttings.
That's mainly it. So.
All right, hearing no discussion, all those in favor of Sarah being elected as the chairperson, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed or abstaining, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Sarah is the chairperson.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
All right, and we'll pass the gavel to Sarah, and she'll do elections for vice chairperson.
And mostly she knows how all the right things to say.
yeah.
That's super helpful.
Most days. All right. I would take a nomination for vice chairperson of the Parks and Recreation Commission.
Jeremy has been a steadfast assistant towards your excellent leadership. So I'll nominate Jeremy Bristow for,
Good supporting cast.
yes.
I will second that nomination.
All right. Are there any other nominations? Go ahead and close nominations. Is there any discussion?
You better show up every time.
I'm not allowed to skip ribbon cutting.
Not once.
Got it. I think I was out of town for one. I never go anywhere. It's fine. All in favor of Jeremy for the vice chairperson of the Parks and Rec Commission, please say aye.
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 Opposed or abstained, same sign. All right, seeing none, the motion carries.
There we go. Another year.
Another year.
Let's do it.
All right. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the approval of. I don't know how to keep this.
I was trying to get Craig's.
Grabbing somebody from outside? Oh, the door.
Thanks, Doug.
Right. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the March 23rd, 2023 meeting.
I'll move to approve those minutes.
Second.
Great. Motion on the table is for approval of the minutes from the March 2023, 2023's meeting. Is there any discussion? All right. All in favor of approval of the minutes, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Seeing none, the motion carries. Next item on the agenda is a public forum. This is an opportunity for members of the public to speak on items that are not on the agenda. We have 2 cards. Are they for
Different item.
for a different item? Okay. Does anyone have any thing they'd like to speak on that is not on the agenda? All right. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public forum. Next item on the agenda is a correspondence from the Ames Cyclone Aquatics Club regarding the Rock the Blocks swim meet.
So this, the correspondence, and generally we do correspondence at the end, of the meeting. It's just to acknowledge that the correspondence has been received. Do have a couple of individuals that want to speak from ACAC on this topic, and I told them that would be okay. So with the information from Jason Horace, who's the president of Ames Cyclone Aquatics Club, you all received that, you've read it, and so on. But just want to let you know that, I did have conversation with Jason earlier this week. And I know there was a question about, is there still a possibility for the 2023 meet, or has it been canceled, and is that it? So according to Jason, they did cancel it earlier this month. The ACAC board did make that decision, canceled it, and he said there's no going back for this year. So really the conversation that we had was really focused on 2024 for the meet, and what we have agreed to, Jason and I, is that representatives from Parks and Recreation and ACAC would get together, have conversation, look at options, and that we would bring something back to the commission in September for the commission to take a vote. And it should mention too is that last September, we did bring the 2023 dates to the commission, and the commission did pass that, did approve that, which was exactly what we had done the prior year. Now there has been conversation back and forth between Courtney and Mike Peterson, who's the ACAC coach, working on things, and I think both parties would agree there was maybe some miscommunication, maybe some misinterpretation, on some things over the winter time. So, but that's what I wanted to bring up. We are not looking, for commission, to take any action tonight. It's just to acknowledge the correspondence, and then also to let you know what I just told you is that we'll meet with ACAC representatives over the next several months, and then bring something back in September. Courtney, anything that you want to add to that?
I don't have anything additional now.
Okay. So we do have, 2 people
Doug McCorkle, would you like to speak? Just state your name and address. Yep.
Yeah, thank you. Doug McCorkle, address 1018 Vermont Court, here in Ames. Thanks for the time to speak. Obviously, I'm here representing Ames Cyclone Aquatics Club as the vice president. Lived in Ames for 20 or so years and have 4 kids currently that actively swim with ACAC. We've had 2 that have graduated and are swimming in college. In regard to the Rock the Blocks, we've appreciated collaboration and work with the city and Parks and Rec over the long term that we've hosted this meet as the letter has laid out. Our club currently is 178 age group swimmers, 27 master swimmers, and so represents sort of a broad sector of ages and diversity in kids that participated in the program. The thing that we'd like to emphasize is, again, what our letter lays out is that for us to have a successful meet and to be able to run this in the future, 2024, as we approach those discussions, that we really need to have access to the facility like we have in the past, pre-COVID, and that we're happy to share the facility, obviously, like we did in the early years of the meet, where we use the 50-meter pool, and the splash pool and the lazy river are open to the general public if that's desired. But we're eager to engage the city in finding a solution around how that can work moving forward so that ACAC can be successful in running the meet and offer the local businesses and our kids an opportunity to swim here and compete here in Ames, and that also serve the needs of the city as well. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
All right. Another card from Frank
Fielmeyer.
Fielmeyer. I was going to say like Feynman.
Hi, my name is Frank Fielmeyer. I'm residing at 2510 Somerset Drive in Ames, and I am a secretary and director for Ames Cyclone Aquatics Club. And I want to echo what Doug said to you, which is we're grateful for the opportunity to use the facility. And I just want to emphasize that the reason that we are here is to just make sure that the lines of communication are open. And I think, as Keith pointed out, there probably was some misunderstandings between the parties about exactly what we needed and why we needed it. And our letter tried to lay out some of those facts so that the city staff and the Park and Rec Commission could know why we think we need more than just a morning, a couple of mornings, Saturday and Sunday mornings. It's very important to the club that we be able to put on high quality meets for attracting clubs that come from other places. We can put on the meets like we have for the last couple of years, which is just in the mornings and Friday afternoon, but it doesn't attract quality competition. It doesn't attract people from other places. The whole point of having the meet is to provide high quality competition for our athletes, for the athletes that come, but also to be able to have revenue for the club. Ames Cyclone Aquatics Club is a nonprofit organization, but we need revenue, and we make enough revenue to support our club, but these events help us to have enough revenue to provide the extras. So we have aging equipment that we need to run meets. We need to replace that equipment. We need the revenue from these types of meets in order to be able to supply that equipment in order to run our meets. So it's very important that not only we have the mornings, but the afternoons as well. We recognize that we aren't the only users, but as Doug pointed out, we have approximately 205 members. That represents the high hundreds of families in Ames and from without Ames as well. And those are your customers as well. And we want to make sure that we give them appropriate opportunities for competition with this pool. We understand, and we come to the city with our eyes wide open. We understand that you have lots of customers who want to use the facility as well. We understand that it's difficult to operate a facility like this, and that your chance of having 100% satisfaction from everybody is probably zero, because somebody's going to be unhappy no matter what. But we want you to understand that we appreciate the opportunity to use the facility, and we're happy to share the facility with respect to the revenues that you need in order to justify things. We understand that you have a budget, and we expect that we would be billed accordingly for the amount of usage that we have as well. So, we're not coming here asking you for something for free. Those are the main things, and Doug and I are happy to answer any questions that you might have about how we run meets or why we're asking you for what we're asking you now and at our meetings in the future. But we do appreciate your hearing us out, and happy to work with the city in the future.
Any questions for Frank?
I do have one. We approved this back in September. Was there ongoing discussions past September? Full disclosure, my daughter's an ACAC alum, and Rock the Blocks was a great event. But I was kind of surprised when we got the letter that it was getting canceled, and this started back in September. So at that point, were there discussions about the additional times? Because we see what we see coming through on the forms. So, and quite frankly, I missed the afternoon ones.
So Courtney's probably in a better position to tell you what transpired than I am. But I know our employee, Coach Michael Peterson, was in discussions with the city with city staff about what we anticipated or what we wanted for the facility. We know that Coach Mike believes that he asked for the time that we're telling you that we need, which is mornings and afternoons on the weekend. He came away from those discussions thinking that he had communicated that, and that the city had agreed to that, and that at some point the city disabused him of the notion that they had agreed to that. So I'm not quite sure how that communication or miscommunication happened. But by the time, you have to understand that running this type of meet involves a lot of steps, including getting it sanctioned by the appropriate our governing board for that, which is not within the club. It's a lot of planning and publication to the club about signing up and so forth, and creating the meet itself. And a lot of that had occurred on the theory that we were going to have the 6 sessions that Coach Mike thought he was going to have. By the time we figured out that wasn't true, we were just not in a position to proceed. Is that fair?
Yeah. Again, Courtney may have a better idea on timeline, but I believe the conversations around scheduling or ironing out whatever miscommunications around scheduling initiated in beginning of February, middle of February, or was it March with Mike?
I don't have the exact dates, but it was a few months ago.
Yeah. Sometime, I
Early
believe,
this year.
calendar year 2023.
Okay.
And one of the things that we can do, I think it's a fair question. So when we bring this to you in September, we can lay all of this stuff out. So we'll give you, our intent is we'll give you the history going all the way back from 2010 when the first meet was, and it was hot, and at least on the first day on Friday, it was really hot. But we'll give you, all of that information. We'll give you what we did each of those years, how it went. Did we share the facility? Didn't we share the facility? what were some of the problems, how we tried to address some of those problems. We'll lay all that out for you because I think it's important that you have all that information. And then we'll get a little bit more in depth just in regards to, what took place, from September, to now. One of the things I think that's important is, and we talk about this a lot of staff, and it's important to understand what happened. But what's most important is how do we move forward and how do we make sure that we have the right people at the table and having those conversations and really make sure, that we know what the request is, which we do now. And yeah, there was some unclear, maybe is the best way, or yeah, Micah was thinking one thing, we were thinking something different. And there was, some of that confusion, and that's what led to this. So we'll lay that all out for the commission, and if there's other information that you would like us to make sure to put in there, let us know, and we'll make sure that we include that in the report when it comes.
Keith, one of the things I know, whenever we get to the point where we're going to actually have some type of a decision on these contracts, we usually have somebody in the audience representing the group that's hearing what we're doing and has looked at this. And, if I'm looking at something that says I only have 2 mornings on a contract, I probably would have been asking everybody to stop at that point. And because we went through and my daughter even swam in those afternoon events. And when I said this, when I looked at the contract, it said just the mornings, but when we get these guys have already sat down and spoken. But it would be nice come September to have some representation sitting in here to make sure that what we're looking at is what you guys agreed on, because we can hold it if we have. We don't have to approve it that night. We can sit back and say, whoa, this isn't, hand it back to whomever. That would make life better, because can you give us an idea? And I kind of play on 2 hats here, because the folks from Discover Ames were very interested to see, because you bring in quite a few outsiders into the city. How many teams come in with approximately how many swimmers?
I think historically, it's my understanding that generally we're in the 300 to 400 athlete range. I don't believe we've topped 500. But pre-COVID, generally our target number is 400 plus athletes, and those will come all the way from Minnesota, Nebraska are the big teams that'll bring quite a few swimmers, and then all across Iowa.
Thank you.
To mirror what Dwayne said, I appreciate you guys coming out and talking to us. When we look at these contracts, I thought everything was agreeable between both parties. So it's unfortunate that a tragic, course of events has brought that communication now together. So when we got that letter, I felt a little almost blindsided, because I thought we've had nothing but a good relationship with ACIC. And I thought that's what we were approving. So, we strive as a commission to have that public-private partnership, and we really want nothing more. So hopefully we can resolve this in the future and move forward.
So maybe just real quick. So Courtney, when this went in September, before it came to commission, there was conversation with Mike, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a lot of different conversation with Mike, Jason, the aquatics manager at the time. So there's a lot of different conversations going on, which ultimately could be something that's corrected in the future to streamline things. So appropriate parties are just in those one-on-one conversations too, to make sure things are accurate, to where sometimes too many people and things can cause an effect too. So, but yeah, there were conversations prior to September, just as there always are.
Right.
But yeah, this one just had a change of direction somewhere along the lines. Yeah.
And should note also that we, somewhere in here as well, our aquatics manager resigned, took another position with the city, and that never helps either when those things happen. But so we are, I do want to say from and I talked to Jason about this. We are very supportive of the event. We always have been. It just this time something went amok, in those in the conversation, in the translation, whatever it is, and now we're at a point where ACAC has canceled their meet, and now we need to, we'll have those conversations, and we'll come back with options for commission to look at, review, and make some decisions on in September. So.
I'd like to say, if you don't mind, one, I'm very disappointed for the athletes and their family that we're planning on this. I have children that, obviously play sports and are traveling, and you get excited for these things, be excited to have a home game, a home meet, whatever it may be. And, families appreciate those, and they can bring in other family members that live close that can't travel to other meets. So I'm very disappointed for all that. Two, would there have been opportunities to amend the contract before it got to this point where we had to cancel? I mean, we are in April. There was nothing past this that could have been done to maybe help this proceed, or is it just done and done?
At this point,
Well, no, not at this point, if they've
Right.
already canceled, but were there opportunities from February going forward that we could have amended something, that we could have said, hey, let's take a step back, let's redo this, whatever it may be, to help this event occur?
yes, there were conversations that were had, and Courtney did communicate with Mike. After some of those conversations, communicated with Mike. The next communication that we received was the one from Jason saying they canceled their meet.
Okay.
So,
I mean, this, like you said, this kind of blindsided us, and, I'm kind of disappointed all around.
I get, I guess from my standpoint, I feel like these conversations are going to get easier as we get a little further down the road. When we have a municipal indoor pool again, that, like Keith said, and you mentioned as well, you can't make everyone happy, and you have gripes from citizens, pass holders, wherever, that can't access a facility. So my hope would be that having an additional facility in town in the next few years is going to help alleviate some of these pressures anyway. So but I'm sorry to hear about this year's meet, but I guess I'm glad you're being proactive and engaging with city staff at this early in the game so that we can get it right for next year. So
Can I say that that's the whole reason why we're here is to be proactive about it. And to your point, what we'd like to do is our board has discussed taking Coach Mike out of the conversations and at the board level, trying to work with the city on getting agreements that work for everybody. And I think one of the things that's maybe hard to understand is that it's probably a little bit hard for Coach Mike to press too hard as an employee who also has to maintain a good relationship with the city and the city staff, because we are constantly using the facility. There has to be an ongoing relationship, which he does not want to damage. And so he did not want to press too hard. And I don't know where, honestly, we don't know where it went off the rails, but we want to keep it on the rails for this 2024 meet and just express to you what we think we need for a successful meet, and hope that next year when you're approving agreements, which we very much hope you will, that agreement is what we need and what you need.
Yep.
I agree.
Again, we do appreciate the relationship, and we look forward to continuing it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Great. Any other further discussion on that? So, all right. Next item on the agenda is a staff report regarding the potential sale of alcohol during events at Ames City Auditorium.
You can come over here, Craig.
Oh,
So this is a staff report, not a commission action form, but it is just information providing, obviously with, like all of our facilities and programs, we're always exploring different ways to increase programming, which also will help increase revenues and help reduce the tax subsidy and attract new and larger audiences, particular in the Ames City Auditorium. We also are looking at different plans, with the anticipation in the next handful of years with potential loss of revenue of a longstanding rental with Hope Church, which is about $42,000 annually. So trying to put plans in place to help, I guess, kind of cushion that loss of revenue when that comes. So one thing that has come up frequent with our users to our staff is questions of people who attend our events and those at the facility of why we don't have alcohol sales, and something that they are seeking as users of the facility. And so with that, Craig is the auditorium, bandshell, and community center manager, also sees some benefits to that, to bring it forth and to see what options we can have moving forward in different types of events. Not all events would potentially have the sale of alcohol. Obviously, there would be criteria built in by staff of what is conducive and most appropriate to have alcohol sales, but those types of considerations to be had. In the staff report, you'll see different types of events, and you'll see the options for selling alcohol. Obviously, there's different avenues to go down, whether it's contracted through a vendor, through city staff, or just to frankly not explore this option any further. And Craig will give a little bit more detail on each of those options and some pros and cons that we see as staff with those. And you'll also see some examples of other cities that, this isn't just one thing that we're trying to introduce into existence. There's other examples of other facilities that are run by cities or other outside venues that are underneath the city that have this service. So really what we're looking for, and like I said, Craig will provide a little bit more detail, but we're really just looking for direction from the commission on, whether, we should sell alcohol or not sell alcohol at events at the Ames City Auditorium, if alcohol sales are permitted, if it should be contracted through a vendor or by city staff, and just feedback on what types of events should include alcohol service, where obviously your feedback and direction will be helpful, because obviously with something like alcohol sales at a city facility, it would have to go through council approvals, and then obviously a lot of steps thereafter to make sure things are done appropriately through city council, but then also different dialogue with different city departments and things to outline policies and criterias and so forth. So I'll hand it over to Craig to add anything in addition.
Sure. As Courtney said, we have three options here that we are sort of identifying pros and cons on. The first option would be is if we brought in an outside vendor, which a lot of facilities do. I think there's some noted on this. And the biggest pro with that is that the contractor is responsible for a lot of the responsibility and risk that comes with that financially, with the equipment that's needed to provide staff to sell alcohol, IDing people, and all those sorts of things. And there would be no upfront cost for the Ames City Auditorium at that point for inventory and things like that if you would pursue that option. And then we would receive a minimum of 10% of that revenue. Ultimately, if this does get approved in some way, we would have to take this out for an RFP. And our typical take is 10% on sales, but a vendor could potentially say, we'll give you more than that. Cons, obviously, we'd only receive a smaller percentage of the sales, so less revenue. And then we'd still have to provide some staff, because what we've learned is that the point of sale is the responsibility of the vendor. Anything that happens there. Beyond that, security in the facility and things like that would have to fall upon Parks and Recreation staff. And then, the second option would be for us to do the alcohol sales. Obviously, the revenue benefit is much greater, but there's also a lot more work and a lot more risk that goes into it. And, we would retain all the revenue in that scenario. And we potentially had staff that could work in different facilities selling alcohol, because we do also sell alcohol at Homewood Golf Course for events and things like that. But obviously the cons, just as I laid out, it's all the inventory costs, all the equipment costs, infrastructure we don't have, staff we don't have at the moment. So it's a lot of work, additional work to get that revenue, even though the revenue benefit is greater. And then obviously the third option would be just to not sell alcohol in the facility.
Craig, can you just talk real quick? Well, maybe I'll say one thing and then you can maybe go through the type of events that we maybe sell at. So in the tables, that are in the report, it talks about if we average a quarter of a drink per person, or a half a drink, or one drink, and so on. So when you look at it also is, just in conversations that staff has had, when we have gone to other events where they have sold alcohol, they're just from a rough estimate. And I know Craig tried to get that information from some facilities, wasn't able to do that. But when I have been to events, I'll use myself, but when I've been to events, to average 2 drinks per person for everybody that's there is probably unrealistic. So it's going to be somewhere less, than that. So I know sometimes you can take a look and say, hey, 2 drinks, wow, we can make a lot of revenue. We can make up for that lost revenue from Hope Church if we were to do that. But again, it's there for comparison, but without getting information what other people average, it's very difficult to say where we're at. So I just wanted commission to understand, the numbers might look really inviting, but the reality of it is it's probably going to be, 1 or less drinks per person. So the other thing, so Craig, you just want to talk about the, types of events?
Sure. So we've started doing some more of our own events. Those would sort of be some of our primary targets for these type of events. We had 6 concerts of our own this year, and a larger event that we did. All of those where I think it would be appropriate. We're looking to increase those concerts, the number of those concerts that we're doing next year. We'll actually be applying for a grant here this month and hope to hear back from that in July. And potentially that could be up to 12 to 14 concerts next year, which essentially, 1 per month average. And then the other things that we would look at, special events that we might plan. Like I said, that's a bigger event that we had. The Central Iowa Symphony has actually asked us before why we don't sell beer and wine in the auditorium, because their patrons would enjoy that. Dance recitals are one of those things where, it's one of those ones that's on the fence. But, if you go to a dance recital at Stevens Auditorium, there's alcohol for sale at Stevens Auditorium at a dance recital. That event relies on children, but there's a lot of parents there for long periods of time.
Yeah, the beer would have been welcome.
And similar with the ISU band concerts. The ISU bands do perform at Stevens, and it's the same sort of scenario. Senior variety show is mostly older folks. There's other event rentals that we've done that are outlined a little bit below, where we have a group that maybe wants to produce a concert. We had somebody produce a blues concert last year. And last fall, we had the Maximum Aims concerts, 2 of them here in the auditorium. And again, attendees from those events have asked, why is there not alcohol for sale at these types of events?
In addition to that, we have discussed, things like Story Theater, which are really kid-based events, maybe events that, the majority of the people are underage, and ISU has some restrictions, for some of their events that they have at the auditorium as well. So those would be events that we would say no. So it's not a blanket, every event in there we're going to sell. There are some that we feel we just shouldn't, based on who we are. And then some have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, you have a speaker on a Tuesday, and maybe that's not going to be worth worth it to have alcohol sales available, but you have a concert on a Friday, Saturday, and you're trying to attract, you know, a larger crowd to that.
What kind of contract lengths would an outside vendor want, do you suppose?
You know, that's really kind of up for debate, you know, at the city with a lot of things we do, like 1-year contracts, you know, starting in a full fiscal year.
Yeah.
It wouldn't necessarily have to be that, but it also gives you a year's worth of data to look at too, if there was a contract.
Yeah. You know, maybe a measured approach to something like that, where you start out with an outside contractor, alleviate some of that risk on your risk assessment for this sort of deal. You know, let them have control, see how it goes, and then move forward from there.
Yeah, and we do say that in the comments, you know, we'll continue to evaluate if this is something that is approved, no matter what the option is, we'll continue to evaluate it every year as we do with other things.
Yeah, I agree. I would be for, you know, looking at certain events, certain things, and I'd be for it. So
Is the grant program, is it the Levitt program or?
No, that Levitt program would only apply to Bandshell.
Oh,
Lebanon
okay.
Program, and we've never applied for that
Okay.
before because it requires matching funds, and I think it's up to $25,000 in matching funds that you have to provide.
I'm from Sioux Falls, and they have the Levitt Shell there, and I've gone to several shows there, and it is more like an Ames on the half shell vibe, but they just have one of the local like liquor stores that provides the beer and wine service at the events, and that seems to work out pretty well for them because you're supporting like a local business in addition to taking the cut, you know, for the beer and wine sales to support events and facilities and whatnot. So
could lead to increased attendance as well. So,
yeah.
you know, I mean,
I'd like to say I'm definitely pro selling it. Alcohol. Looking at the charts, it's not like we're going to make money off this, but instead increasing events, bringing in more diverse, you know, shows or you know, and increasing our shows for the year. When you look at like Blank Park Zoo, when they brought in Zoo Brews, that was exponential growth on attendance. I mean, it's huge because as we shift our expectations towards our attendance, then we should, you know, shift what we're offering to. And in this case, I think selling alcohol is definitely a positive for the city.
And to that point, something that's listed in here, you know, one thing we've struggled to be able to do is attract promoters to bring larger events here, you know, whether it's stand-up comedy or larger concerts, because a lot of them say that when there's no alcohol sales that they just don't want to work with a facility where they can't sell alcohol.
right.
Absolutely.
I had a question about, you mentioned with risk and inventory,
Mhm.
is there a space where you could store alcohol or would you have to add that and create some sort of
That
secure
would be
location?
tricky. You know, that's one of the concerns if we would do it is we don't have a lot of storage space. You can see if you walk past the auditorium, there's equipment in the hallways already. So it would, you know, if that was an option, we would have to look for space that we don't have currently.
Okay. And what about staffing issues? Is that something, is that a big concern, or do you think you could supplement that with volunteers?
It's hard to know, you know, because we don't know how many people we would have to kind of feel out for each event, how many people we would need. But I think it would be difficult. You know, we've already at times struggled to get staff. I'm here frequently for events because we don't have enough staff just to run the events as it is. So, you know, this is not the same thing as running an auditorium event, but, you know, it would probably take a considerable amount more work just on my part staffing these events if we had to add that many more people.
And that's something we'd have to put into consideration too, if that's something of sales that city staff are doing, to where obviously the number one priority is going to staff the event so the event can run functionally, where
Yeah.
staffing for alcohol sales would be probably almost secondary in that scenario.
But if you had an outside vendor, they would be responsible for staffing. Yeah.
For the selling of it.
For the selling of it. And then as far as,
Well,
you know,
once,
monitoring different area in the consumption, we would potentially have to have, you know, a certain number of staff based on the anticipated crowd size, but that wouldn't necessarily have to be somebody who's gone through specific training to provide that service. That would open up our options of what that staff looked like and or volunteers potentially.
I have one question about if this increases any liability to the city by doing it.
That was a conversation we would have to have with risk management. We've kind of had some offline talks with Bill a little bit about it. If you're selling alcohol, it increases your liability insurance. So if we would take on the sales, we would definitely see an increase in our liability insurance. That's kind of factored into some of the cost here. But the person selling the alcohol would also be liable for sales. If you use an outside vendor, they have to have dram shop insurance and list the city of Ames as additionally insured for those types of things.
Also, did you factor in cost for, like, would this be allowing the alcohol to be brought into the auditorium as well? Okay, so it has to be just in the lobby.
Correct. It
I
would
wanted
just
to
be
make-
Well,
alcohol.
it would be in the facility, so there would be some additional cleaning potentially that would be.
Okay,
that's-
I wondered about that as
Yeah.
well, because to me, that would be something to think
Yeah.
about as well, because that could add extra cost in terms of damage to facilities.
Right. And I think it's important to understand the size of our audiences too right now. We have a lot of our own events. The audiences are very small.
Okay.
And pretty easily to monitor and contain.
Mhm.
Some of the bigger dance recital events that we have, there may be 400 or 500 people, but we don't have a lot of sellout audiences at this point. And if we are at a point where we're having a lot of sellout audiences, I think then that consideration for cleaning and things is something we can easily build into a cost of events, because
Okay.
they're we're making money in that scenario
Sure.
in other ways.
Craig, have you got a chance to go back through some of the inquiries you've had where you've had somebody said, I'd like to bring this act to Ames or this band to Ames, that has walked away because of the alcohol, and think about what kind of revenue you could generate if you're given this opportunity?
It's not necessarily that people have just walked away. I've brought promoters here, like Sam Summers, who does like 8035 and was one of the co-operators of Woolies and owners of First Fleet. And that, was one of the main reasons he listed. So if we were to bring those types of events in, we have, a for-profit daily rental. So the minimum for an event like that would be around $1,600 or $1,700 for just a rental of that nature. Now, if it would be successful, we also have a consideration for 10% of ticket sales. It's $1,700 or 10% of the gross ticket revenue. So if it would be a very successful event and sell out the auditorium, there's a larger revenue potential there.
Any other questions? Do you need direction from us, or this is just
Yeah.
discussion?
So I would say from just a general understanding is, the first item listed under commission direction, should the Ames City Auditorium sell or not sell alcohol at events? So by that consensus, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that to proceed? And I guess that's what feedback we're looking, is that something that we should proceed forward with? And if so, in what avenue, if we should, evaluate, from a city staff perspective, or looking from a contracted vendor.
Can we open this up further than just the auditorium? Because I know we
Well-
do the band shell already, but because it seems like we're limiting ourselves if you're just talking about the auditorium.
In the hockey rink. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously.
So-
People ask for it all the time out there.
Yeah, so right now, we just have before you the auditorium. If it's something that you want us to look at beyond the auditorium, then you can give us that direction. So with this, I guess one of the thoughts that we would have is if and some of you have already said it, do you start a little small? All right. Do you see how things go at the auditorium? Learn some things, and then are there other areas that you can take it to? So right now at the band shell, the band shell alcohol is only served for events that aren't ours.
Right.
The Ames JCs and so on. We don't do a lot of events on our own. At the band shell. So the ice arena, I think there's going to be. I would suggest keeping those separate because I think there's going to be a different. It's going to be a different conversation just because of the youth, that are there, and when do you do it? There used to be at the old arena, there was alcohol or beer was sold at the old arena. And when we went to the new arena, we made the decision or recommendation, council made the decision to not sell alcohol in the ice arena. So I think for right now, I think let's see how it goes. And we can always look at those other areas later. But from staff standpoint, we have not, or don't have any desire, I guess, at this point to take this beyond the auditorium. We used to have alcohol at North River Valley for softball games, but that was through the Ames Slow Pitch Softball Association. They sold it. When they basically disbanded, we said, no, we're not going to do it, because in that situation, alcohol tended to be a problem. And we had more issues. When we stopped selling alcohol for softball games, the number of ejections and things that we had went down. So I think this is a pretty safe bet to just go with the auditorium. Could you bring it up? I can't say that if you want to expand it, we can take a look at it. I don't know that staff would make a recommendation that we do it at other facilities, but it is something that if you want us to look at it, we can. But I think for right now, getting into getting something maybe potentially for in front of council and have them, they'll have to make the final decision on this, and getting it in front of them so we can maybe do something starting with maybe late summer or fall, most likely more the fall season with things. I think that's what we should do. That would be my recommendation at this point.
Let's go through each one of the direction. I was reading next steps for some reason. Let's go through each one of the direction. And then at the end of that, if someone would like to make a motion to direct staff to investigate other facility options, that's fine. Would anyone care to make a motion regarding whether or not Ames City Auditorium should sell or not sell alcohol?
Again, we don't need a motion.
Oh, we don't need a motion.
We don't need a motion. This is, we're just looking for direction.
Okay.
Because, so really, and I think this is where Courtney was going to, based on the comments that we already have heard. I would say that for number one, that the commission seems to be in favor of us giving this a try and selling beer and wine at the auditorium.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that kind of?
Can I ask that if there's going to be beer and wine sold, can there be bubbly water also?
There can be, are you talking about like seltzer beverages?
Yeah, so there's something
It's a class-
non-alcoholic.
Oh, so, the other portion of this would be is that we could also include other concession items within non-alcoholic concession items within a
Okay.
contract as well. when we
I
go
do think
forward.
it's good to offer something else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
And I think we would want to, because that vendor
I
could
think you'd actually
potentially,
widen your sales. if you
yeah, that
did
potential could also sell at those events where we don't sell alcohol. They
Exactly.
could sell concessions there too.
Yes, thank you.
I actually had that question because looking at your attendance, can you clarify this? Because you say events per year, 4 to 6, estimated attendance 60. So is that 10 people per or
That's
60 per?
per event.
60.
That's average attendance.
Yeah, per event attendance.
Because that's going to be important when you start looking at vendors. I mean, they're going to walk away if they can't.
I've actually had 2 vendors in and spoken to them and kind of explained like if this was something that we just to ask them a lot of questions and to try to understand if this is something that would be feasible. And the vendors that I spoke to saying that this was, some of our events are very small. They said that's fine. Like we see potential here for growth and if that's the case, we'd like to be here when this facility grows. So I have talked to them and they indicated at that time that they didn't think it would be a concern.
Okay. So it's your intent to try to get them to be at all of your events, not just cherry pick the big ones.
It would, yeah, the ones that we have listed on here would be our starting list.
Okay.
But then a specific group, if they opted not to have alcohol sales at their event, they could voice that.
Yeah, and I
desire.
think we'd have to work out how that looks, what sort of procedure would.
But then they could still have
Concessions.
concessions and soda, water, whatever. Okay. Okay. So council seems, or commission seems in favor of
Selling.
selling
concessions.
alcohol and other
Alcohol.
concessions
Yep.
at
Yep.
events.
Yep.
The next direction is if alcohol sales are permitted, should sales be contracted to a vendor or sold by city staff? I mean, really, it seems like the, opinion from staff is that it would be a staffing challenge, and you guys deal with enough of those already. So, I mean, I'm in favor of having a vendor, especially, like storage is an issue, staffing, equipment, licensing, blah, like, I think especially as we're kind of giving it a go on a trial basis, it's going to be easier to see how it goes with a vendor.
Yeah, I'd agree. Move
And I
forward
don't
with the
want-
vendor.
I mean, you guys
Starting.
have enough to deal with, with potential for additional cleaning or security needed, that's,
Yeah.
that's enough.
And then we have that noted in our staff comments as that's
Yeah.
that's the direction we would be in
Yeah.
favor of proceeding initially.
And then the final question is, if alcohol sales are permitted, what types of events should include alcohol service? I mean, to me, it really kind of depends on the,
Play to your crowd.
yeah, if it is like maximum aims, like that's like very obvious event that you would want to, the promoter that you mentioned. And then I think it would be kind of a conversation with other events. It's events that the city is holding. I think for the most part, it would be to your discretion whether or not, events that are targeted towards children and events that are kind of all ages. But for people and you said with the contract,
You could always ask the event coordinator.
yeah, and
You know,
just
and say,
figure out
"Hey,
with the contract,
Here's
if-
something we can offer.
if the
Is this
vendor is
something you'd like
willing
to
to
do?
be flexible, and if a person renting the space says we don't want alcohol at our event, then they can, speak
So,
with the vendor.
yeah, so with this, I guess our intent would be the events that Craig went through, those are the types of events that we would sell alcohol at. We would not sell alcohol at youth events.
Right.
Okay, dance is
Or dance
one
families.
that's, yeah, dance is one of those, but again, like story theater,
Right.
when it's a kid production, all those types of things, that's we think it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit with what our philosophy is with it. So for people to opt out, if they say, hey, that's just against our mission and vision as an organization, we don't want alcohol sold, there could be that opt out, option. So with that stated, is that the
Yeah.
commission, are you in agreement in that
Yeah.
type of thing?
Yes.
Now there will have to be some policy put together. There'll be some things, and this will most likely not be the last time that this will come before, the commission. So,
I assume you would award a contract to the vendor.
if if we're awarding a contract or entering into a contract with a vendor, that doesn't need to come before commission or council
Okay.
unless it's over a certain dollar amount.
Okay.
If it winds up being a $50,000 contract, there's some things that will need to happen. We'll follow all of our purchasing rules. That's generally something that, commission doesn't get involved with, because there's a lot of contracts we enter into that never come, before you guys, just into the day-to-day operations. So,
And of course, you'd let us know how these events go.
yep. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Good.
Good.
Okay.
All right. Thank you much. Thanks, Craig.
Thanks.
Go pick up a cat.
I'm sorry.
All right. Next item on the agenda is a motion approving a memorandum of understanding with Ryman Gardens for 2023.
Yes, so this partnership with Ryman Gardens began in 2021, where we were able to offer different mind and body classes. Yoga, Tai Chi has continued since 2021, in 2022 with different yoga classes, and we're looking to continue the same route for 2023. There are no significant changes to the memorandum of understanding with Ryman Gardens, offering the same type of programs, the same type of split where 50% of the collection of registration fees will be paid to Parks and Recreation, and there'll be 6-week classes. And Nancy has had conversations with the folks over at Ryman Gardens on this partnership, and it's a great partnership to have to offer these types of classes at a different location outside Parks and Recreation facilities, and overall a great working relationship we have with them. So we would recommend alternative 1 to be approved for this upcoming year.
Anyone care to make a motion?
I'll motion to approve recommendation or alternative 1.
I'll second it.
All right. Motion is on the table to approve the memorandum of understanding with Ryman Gardens to supply mind-body class instruction in the gardens. Is there any discussion? All right. All in favor of approving alternative 1, please say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. All right. Seeing none, the motion carries. Do I need to sign that one?
Number 9. Yep. Yep. For Jax.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is a motion approving the Jack's Outdoor Gear request to rent canoes, kayaks, and paddleboards at Ada Hayden and waive the 10% of gross sales.
So again, we've been doing this for a long time with Jax. We don't have to do the capital expense up front. We don't have to staff it, which has already been a discussion about a number of topics tonight. So really you can see there the amount of revenue, the number of rentals is shown in the commission action form. It varies, kind of peaked during the pandemic, has started, coming down again. One of the only change, with it for this year is that they have increased their fees, their rental rates. It hasn't been raised for quite a while. So we don't see an issue with that. Our recommendation is alternative 1. It's a great thing for the community, good partnership, and I'd answer any questions if anybody has any.
I just had one because I don't know much about historical. Are there any other vendors who've ever asked that we do this with them?
No.
Okay. That was
No.
my other question.
Yeah, no, it's a good
I
question.
figured if there was somebody else who wanted to, they'd come forward. But
Yeah.
I was like, probably there's no one else.
No, they're
Yeah.
kind of the only game in town.
Nope. Jax does a great job. And
All right. Would anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve alternative 1.
I'll second.
All right. Motion is on the table to approve alternative 1 for Jack's Outdoor Gear to rent canoes, kayaks, and paddleboards and waive the 10% fee of gross sales. Any discussion? All in favor, alternative 1, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, seeing none, the motion carries.
Good.
Next item on the agenda is a motion approving Adaptive Sports Iowa to use the community center for housing during RegBri this summer.
So in 2018, Adaptive Sports Iowa utilized the community center to house athletes during the overnight stop, and they have the same request this year. This would be Tuesday, July 25th through Wednesday, July 26th. That the community center just has amenities that are more conducive than the outdoor camping for the needs of those athletes. Myself, Craig Kaufman, Hannah Bowman, and Kevin Burke. Hannah Bowman with Adaptive Sports Iowa and Kevin Burke with Discover Ames met at the city auditorium, or not the city auditorium, the community center earlier this month to walk around and discuss different times of need for the facility. You'll see those outlined in the commission action form, but the community center would be closed for Adaptive Sports Iowa from 7:30 a.m. on July 25th to 7 a.m. July 26th. And from our side, staff would communicate and get information out early for users to be aware of those changes during this time with the closure. So that would include the gymnasium, but it would also include the weight room, locker rooms. It would have an effect on Silver Sneakers and some other programming. But again, those things would be communicated, and we may also have the opportunity to move some of those SPIF fusion classes to other parts of the facility where they wouldn't necessarily have to be canceled. All other programs like fitness, dance, and gymnastics would not be impacted. And we would use the auditorium stage from 11 a.m. on the 25th to 6:45 a.m. on the 26th to store bicycles and different type of equipment that the athletes have. Hannah Bowman and Adaptive Sports Iowa, they understand that obviously with the community center being closed, that there is a loss of revenue and programs that we can't offer. So they understand that there is a potential fee involved. And so on attachment A, you'll see different alternatives that are expressed. Alternative one is the current community center fee for those full hours of closure. Alternative two is reflective of that fee, but does waive the fee on times that the community center is typically closed, so that overnight time. And then alternative three to waive the fee for their entire use. Like I said, they understand there was a fee in 2018. Alternative two was approved by the commission, and that is what staff is recommending for this year.
Okay. Would anyone care to make motion?
Can we ask a couple of questions first?
Yes.
Isn't a big portion of this going to be blocked off? Because in 2018, we utilized university, and this one is going to be mainly downtown. So
Yeah, that's in 2018, all the entertainment and everything was downtown as well.
but I mean, we're moving even more down here this year.
It's just the entertainment. So there's still, there will still be, things in,
Lead or,
No.
oh, really?
and then what are you thinking, Dwayne? Because in the
My
conversations
understanding was
we've
they were
had-
going to have vendor vehicles and other vendors down here in the downtown area where the nighttime entertainment is going to be down here again, but that wasn't the big concern. Was all the other vehicles that are going to be down here. They were going to kind of jump, and this is going to be a huge RAGBRAI. So would we expect anybody to want to venture down here anyway during that time? I mean, quite frankly, I'm just staying the heck away from all this, and I have to be down here. So that's what my concern was: is are we maybe I'm for number 3, quite frankly, to waive everything, because I don't think anybody's going to show up anyway
Well,
to
but
want to go for classes.
But
Oh,
but that
it's-
requires, there will be cleanup and.
Yeah, what's the staffing for this? Do we have to use any of our staff for this to host these people?
So when Adaptive Sports Iowa would be using the facility, obviously with them being here, we would have a staff member at all times here at the facility, and that was also done in 2018
A
to
staff
make sure
member?
that there is a staff member here available if any needs come up.
Okay. And what about cleanup? Anything as far as that goes? Or do they-
Yeah, in 2018, it may have been a few more, a little bit more cleanup, just because some of the requirements of the athletes, some of them use catheters, a number of different things.
No, we get it.
So with it, and I guess in the conversation you've had, with Hannah and really it's Hannah with Adaptive Sports Iowa, she is good with alternative 2, correct?
Correct.
paying
When
the
we,
fee.
when we talked with her and Kevin Burke, we discussed what was approved. She was provided the agreement from 2018. We informed her that that would be the same alternative that we'd be recommending to commission this time around. There is no opposition to that. They understand the impacts it has on our facility, and informing of users and the different, not only just the community center and the gymnasium, but the weight room, locker room, the use of the auditorium. They understood that.
They get it.
I feel like it's reasonable to go with number 2 because we are closing it down for other people not to use it. And I think it realistically, thinking about the types of individuals who are going to use it, they do have extra needs. And I think we're going to need to clean and get it back to the place where other people can utilize it in our community. It seems reasonable to me to use.
Yeah, and it's not so much because we have had other situations over the years, that I've been involved with Parks and Recreation, that people have rented, the facility. We had one time for Order of the Arrow, was in Ames, and they rented the community center. They paid a rental fee.
Yeah.
So it's not just the fact that we're going to have people or not, in the facility. They want the facility for their use, and that's what the rental fee is for.
I mean, I've rented it as an employee of Mary Greeley for a program. I mean, your expectation when you ask to rent it is that there's a fee involved. Quite honestly, I mean, I wouldn't expect you to tell me I didn't have to just because I worked at Mary Greeley.
Yeah, and I guess from my standpoint, that it's not so much the loss of revenue, but the staffing, to have staff on hand for that. Like, if you don't charge them anything, well, then you're also, you're losing money and you're having to pay staff.
Right.
I agree, like, this is a great organization, but I don't necessarily think the city needs to provide the services for free or as a donation or anything like that.
I was just looking at $785, and Adaptive Sports has been a very good partner with us with quite a few projects. And it would go a long way to let them do that. And we're going to have to staff it anyway. I mean, you're going to have people here.
So when you say Adaptive Sports Iowa has been a great partner with us with other events, what events are you
I'm
talking?
not talking about events, but just the fact that, they're always involved when we're looking at things with the ADA, with the ramps, things to that effect. They partner up with the triathlon group. So, I mean, there's things that they're involved with around and about that use our facilities, and it's $785. And we waive more than that with the kids' baseball clubs. So, I mean, I just thought it'd be a feel good thing to let them use a facility and waive the $785. You're going to staff it, you're going to clean it anyway.
Now, the youth baseball is a little different because they are responsible for some of the maintenance, the mowing. So there are some things that they're doing as well.
Oh, I understand that,
with
but
those,
it's still a lot more than just what they're getting benefit from. So we do have other people that we like to partner with, and it's good for the city to have those relationships. I could go either way, but I thought it would be a good thing to offer.
Any other questions for Courtney? Would anyone care to make a motion?
I'll move to approve alternative 2.
I second it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All in favor of approving alternative 2? please say
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. No, wait.
I could have gone.
All right, seeing none, the motion carries. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the motion to approve the Friends of Ada Hayden to request the waiving the enforcement of prohibition. That's quite the word salad. Waiving enforcement of prohibiting motorized vehicles at Ada Hayden Heritage Park. Friends of Ada Hayden wants to do their golf cart tour And
So-
that's what they want.
Yep. So this is something that they've done for a good number of years, and they want to do it again. Last year, they actually expanded to 2 days, for their golf cart tours. Wasn't received as well. They had some additional expense. This year, what they want to do is go back to 1 day, Monday, September 11th, have Tuesday, September 12th as a rain date. Again, with this commission, and sorry about that.
Making me feel way too important.
So the commission can make a recommendation to council to waive the prohibition of the motorized vehicles. So it's a great thing. There's a lot of people that get out to the park that aren't able to do it otherwise or on their own. So we will always, I think, be in support of this. So we are proposing alternative number 1, which is to approve or to recommend to city council that they waive the enforcement.
Anyone care to make a motion?
I'm on a roll. I'm going to recommend or motion alternative 1.
Second, anyone care to make a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Motion on the table is to recommend to city council to waive the enforcement of ordinance 19.9 on Monday, September 11th and Tuesday, September 12th for a rain date to allow Friends of Ada Hayden Heritage Park to provide golf cart tours to mobility impaired individuals. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor of moving alternative 1, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, seeing none, the motion carries. Okay. Next item on the agenda is to approve our calendar of meeting dates from April 2023 through March of 2024.
Yeah, so this is just a listing of all the dates. Generally, there are some, the first meeting in December is one where the commission meets with the city manager, talks about CIP. He gives more information regarding the budget, shortfalls, excess revenues, whatever it might be, to give you a better understanding. So we do have, 2 meetings last year. The second meeting in December, we did cancel. And that is something that if commission, I know last year there was a little bit of discussion. Some of the commission members said if we were only going to have 1 meeting in December, the first one would be better than having the second one. But right now we have it. We can always cancel at a later date, depending on, which we do anyways. If we don't have any items, we cancel. And then the other one is March. The March date is usually after spring break. For 2024, it actually, the third Thursday is the week after spring break. So it doesn't interfere, but I just wanted to get commission that here are all the dates, and alternative 1 would be to approve them as listed.
That is the one attachment I didn't get. So if Keith sent out a second email, I didn't get that one.
I like the 1st December one. There's cookies. All right.
I like the workshop
Yeah.
because I think
always
it's
good.
useful to
Mhm.
hear what else is going on in the city and send all my gripes to Steve Schenker.
Yeah.
All right. Would anyone care to make a motion?
I move to approve alternative 1.
I will second.
All right. Motion on the table is to approve the proposed Parks and Rec Commission meeting dates for 2023 through 2024. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, seeing none, the motion carries. Next item is project updates from Keith.
Yeah, so for the Fish Family Indoor Aquatic Center, we'll go through, some things. So one thing that we don't have on here, we have gone through I think we mentioned this, the last time. So after schematic design, the budget did come in, or the estimate was 3.2 million over. We did sit down with the architect and the construction manager, other sub-consultants, and we have basically gotten back down to that 20.5 million, for a construction estimate. So we've done that. We did, shared with you the council action form when we sent that stuff to, or at the end of March, for the city council to review. And with it, so what I wanted to do today is just kind of go through some of what the latest plans are. So one of the things that we looked at is we actually have reduced the square footage of the base bid by about 2,400 square feet. And some of that is stuff that we really don't, think that you'll notice, with it. So we took out some deck space, we took out some other little spaces and so on, some hallways. We've done some things differently. One of the biggest things, with it is we did go from 8 gender neutral or family change rooms down to 6. And that was something that when we looked at Furman, that facility winds up a lot of days will have, potentially 5-6 times what this facility will ever have in a daytime. We felt that was reasonable. Again, we need to, if we want to get it done and have the ad alternate, which is what we heard from commission at the last meeting, we're really working hard to make that happen. One of the things also that we have had conversation about is with stormwater management, about doing that, either on site or off site. We did have a meeting with Vinker Golf Course about potentially having off-site stormwater management on the course, because they were looking for irrigation options. And so we talked to them about what if we build the stormwater management basin on the golf course. They use it for irrigation. So we pay the capital costs up front, and then they would pay for the maintenance and management of it after that point. So kind of a win-win. And Vinker was very, very interested, in that option. So now we're just waiting for the architect to get us what is the quantities, that we'll need to do. And again, it's not just for the aquatic center, but we're also looking maybe for some off-site stormwater management for fire station number 2 when that gets relocated. So we're trying to look at a couple of different things all at once. So we felt very good about the conversation, and Dwayne helped arrange that. So thank you, Dwayne, with the staff. So,
And this is, you're collecting the stormwater in like a catchment tank and then pumping it into a truck and driving it across town?
no.
Oh.
No.
I don't know
No.
how this works.
Yeah. So that's a good question.
I was
So-
imagining all kinds of things.
So
Do
with it, so with it, there are certain things. There's a certain amount of storm water that you have to keep on site. All right. So we cannot have storm water run off the site, the new aquatic center site, more than what it's doing currently. All right. So that we're going to have to make sure that those rates stay the same. Did I get that right, Joshua?
Correct.
All right. So then there is also some potential water quality that we would do on site, where the water, fills up a basin, it goes through, things get to settle out and so on. But off-site stormwater, how this works is as long as it is within the watershed. So in this case, the Iowa Creek watershed. So we can take, in this case, and this was one of the pluses with Vinker, is there's a lot of storm water that comes from the north with the houses and those kinds of things. So, and it runs through their course, and it makes a wet area, and there's a lot of issues. So if we capture that water, what we're doing is we're capturing storm water from the same watershed. It's a different location, but we can still use that as say a credit
Yeah.
for capturing stormwater at the aquatic site.
Makes more sense than
I want to see a
trucking
slide.
it across. I was really hoping for like a Roman aquifer.
That's, yeah.
Yeah,
Aqueduct.
yeah. So we're trying to save costs.
I was gonna say.
So,
Donated by Sarah.
The
sounds
short
like.
Yeah.
jaunt.
so if we want to start, so this is the base bid. There's a couple of things, and like just grab pointer quick.
It still has a pool, right?
So with it, so if you look at it, so up here, so one of the things, this wall was a little further down here, and then it extended down this way. And we actually moved that up and moved this wall over, so we have space for mechanical. We felt there was too much space here, so we were able to lose some of the space from mechanical, and capture it in other areas. The locker rooms, just got a little bit smaller. We lose a couple of lockers, I think maybe 5 lockers in each room, but we still feel that we have enough. Here, this right here, and this one, these 2 family change rooms or gender neutral change rooms will have an adult changing table, motorized up and down. So those needed to be a little bit bigger. Thus, we have 2 change rooms up here, or 4 change rooms, be a little bit smaller, still have, a sink, toilet, shower in them. So we did lose 2 of those gender neutral restrooms, kind of like I mentioned earlier. We tried to shrink some sizes on some of these other things. We shrunk this hallway a little bit. So again, we were at 34,415 square feet. We're now down to 32,015 square feet. Next slide. So this just shows the addition. And again, between the 2, this is kind of that dividing line. So this would get added if we do the alternate. We do go from 17 laps per mile to 18 and a half laps per mile. So a little bit more, but it still, gets that. We did suggest to the architect to do the track on a conveyor. So you could be walking and it really feels like maybe only 7 laps per mile rather than 18, but that didn't go very far.
That sounds super cheap.
Yeah.
Well, if you walk it backwards,
So again, this is, the base bid, how it's going to sit on the site, and then, show you with what it looks like with the add alternate. So it takes up a little bit more of that space. Now, these next slides, so we actually looked at 2 options to try to, from a stormwater management and also from a cost perspective, could we shrink this a little bit? And we have a kickoff meeting with the city's development review committee next week, Wednesday. We've submitted all of this information. We'll go through it. They'll give us feedback on what they think. Yes, this will work. No, it won't work. So we may have to make some changes. So initially we had 140 parking spots. This one I think has 135 or 137 with it. One of the things to note here is right here we have this drive aisle, which is right next to the sidewalk. All right. And we actually prefer this option compared to what you'll see in option B for a couple of reasons. One, this will allow delivery trucks to be able to pull up and we can get things in without having cars parked there. The other thing with this is it's going to be a whole lot easier to do snow removal along the sidewalk because we won't have to go around vehicles. So when you look at option B, what it does is it now has this parking right along the sidewalk, has this island out here. So we told them stick with option A. And again, they're doing what we're asking. We want them to come with options and then we can look at it, discuss it, and so on. So So we go in, so one of the other things that we did is, if you remember what that front, looked like, there was a lot more glass. So one of the things that we looked at was reducing the amount of glass on the outside, reducing the amount of glass on the inside. Was there a cheaper alternative to do this right here? So this one is precast insulated panels, concrete panels. So it kind of gives you a look. This is the base bid. Then you see the bid with the alternate. And then if you go to the next picture, so this would be if I remember right, this would be a steel insulated panel. Again, it gives a different look. We'd have to, and this could be different colors. This could be a lighter shade, or we change the letters to a different color so you can see them.
Maybe.
But again, all of these have, less glass, and then these are still precast concrete panels. So as we go through these, and Joshua, you can just kind of, give them a little bit of time on each one. And this is just with the alternate added to it. So this is a looking north. Again, these are the precast concrete panels with the base bid, with the alternate to it. And then you'll see it with the metal panels. This shows a little bit lighter, metal. And then with the add alternate as well. So you go through, you just see some different views. Again, with and without the alternate added to it. And one thing that should note, go to the next one too, Joshua. One thing that you can see is on here that looks like maybe some texture or something. So with that, when they pour these concrete panels, the forms actually have some texture to them, so you can make them look like wood siding or just have some kind of texture. So that's what they're thinking, just to add some little, I don't know if it's uniqueness, but just a little bit more aesthetic appearance, to this. And one of the things that council did direct staff on is the aesthetics of the building. That was one of their lowest priorities. With it. So keep going through, and this, gives you a little bit more, some different looks, and then just some, some aerial views. Just note on here, this kind of screening. There will be HVAC, mechanical equipment up there, so it just provides some screening so you don't see the actual equipment. And
Pickleball courts.
I mean, from my perspective, the steel panels that are like squares looks a little less like wort melting than these sort of aluminum.
It's classy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think the squares look really good. So,
Yeah.
So
it does kind of look like I don't know,
Yep.
spaceship.
So those are, yeah, and those are things, each of them, they come with different costs and so on. So again, we're trying to keep them within that 20.5 million. So we can hopefully get a good bid, and then, we can award the ad alternate at the same time and get it done. So.
Awesome.
I think you've done a really good job because, we retain our primary focus here, and the stuff you've eliminated, we're just not going to notice, that's really good.
Right. Very good.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah. And it's in staff, Joshua, Courtney, and I working with the architect and construction manager and everything. And just we'll keep working at it.
Yeah.
And
I was glad to hear council also in favor of the path. And then I saw a few letters to the editor as well in the Tribune about having the walking path. And I do think it's really important, and it is an asset, especially for folks who don't want to walk outside in the winter because you fall.
yep.
I think it's really
Walk in the
important. Walk in the mall.
Yeah. So the next one with the Stephen L. Shanker Plaza, there's with this one, we did go to city council last week and asked them to approve a change order for the ice ribbon. which included subgrade heat. So council did approve the subgrade heat, just so we can keep moving with the project. It needs to be done. One of the things is that we're working with consultants on who's going to pay for that. We feel the consultant needs to pay for it, but we're going to continue to have those conversations. Now, one of the things with the water feature, through our conversations with the Iowa Department of Health, who manages, recirculation and so on, all the systems if you're recirculating. So again, this portion of it was going to be a runnel, kind of this linear part right here. This was going to be a runnel, which meant that there was a curb on this side that people could sit on. There was going to be a higher bench along here, kind of a higher curb that people could sit on, have their feet in there and so on. The only way to get into it would have been down here. If you were in a mobility device, is to come through here and kind of work your way up it. So in water going down. So a lot of conversations, but basically what it came down to is Iowa Department of Health said, if you have standing water, so they define a splash pad, no standing water. Anything else, if there's water in it, whether it's moving or not, standing water. And they said, if you have standing water, then it's a wading pool because it's less than 24 inches deep. And you'd have to have a separate recirculation tank or system than what you have for the spray pad. Obviously, that does not make sense for us. So what we have done, and we're taking this to council next week, is basically really the only alternative for us is to take this runnel, create a flat space, all right? Take the curb, the seating, all that kind of stuff out. And basically this would be a linear spray pad that ties into this spray pad down here. So it'd be more features. And actually through conversation and we're talking, we think this might even be a better option. It's more accessible, for everybody. It will have, some different features for kids and people to go through. So we will be taking this to council. We're still working on it. The latest numbers, I haven't even shared these with Joshua and Courtney yet because I just got them right prior to the meeting. There is some savings on concrete work, and then there's some cost because we are adding some features to this, some spray jets and so on. So if we do this, it will be somewhere between roughly potentially 800 additional dollars to 5,000, somewhere in that range. And as we're still trying to get that figured out. It was going to be initially 12 to 18. So we were hoping it to be a wash, and that's where if we can get it to be a wash, that's going to be ideal. We also are looking at furnishings and so on. So there is a number of furnishings that were recommended, by the consultants. And we a year ago we actually asked for a quote on all the pieces that we needed and so on, benches and chairs and tables, and it wound up being $138,000, just for the furnishings. We have $158,000 left in FF&E, which is furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So what we're doing is we're looking at things, and some of what we looked at is some of the chairs that were recommended. Just a chair was $1,600. So we're looking to see, hey, what are some alternatives? Almost as good as your restroom, Jeremy.
I have chairs at home I can sell you.
They were nice chairs though.
So those are some things, and there's because we also want to, if we can control with the FF&E with that budget, what we want to do is we want to have a skate sharpener. We want to be able to purchase skates, and there's some other things that we need to do yet too, besides just the furnishing. So So we're looking at coming up with some alternative things, something that still looks modern, is durable, but less expensive than what was recommended. So this will be going to council on Tuesday night as well, to bring them up to speed. And it's going to be a staff report. We're not looking for them to say yay or nay, because we really don't have an alternative. So this is really the alternative. Now, they could potentially say, well, just leave your spray pad, do away with all of that, and don't do the linear spray features. But we think we're really missing an opportunity to still provide something else, make the park unique and attractive, and so on. So any questions on that one?
Keith, does the furniture have, like the tables especially, a place for a wheelchair to roll up or?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, and that's we had that conversation too, that we need to make sure that that they are ADA accessible, they're compliant, and then we have some some concerns about doing movable furniture, just because if things will walk away, but we also want to provide enough flexibility. So this group, 5 of us get together and there's only 4 chairs bolted down at a table or something. Well, how do you get that 5th person or a 6th person? So we're looking at those things and how do we be flexible. We're hoping that, the fact that this is right across from the police station, we'll have security cameras, we'll have, lights, that it'll prevent some of that, but you never know.
Air tags.
What was it?
Air tags.
Yeah, there you go. So, all right, any other questions on that one?
You did have us scared when you said 800. I was expecting 1,000 after that.
Yeah. So
Joshua was turning red about that point.
So
He was
with
somewhat smiling, so I'm like, oh, this can't be that bad.
yeah,
Yeah, he smiled all through the bathroom remodel too.
so with the Sands McDormand property purchase, we're moving along with that, finalizing some details with the owners. They are going to be doing an estate sale probably sometime in early May, and then we're looking to hopefully maybe close on that property sometime in June, before the end of the fiscal year. So, all right. RAGBRAI 2023, talked about a little bit with Courtney and Adaptive Sports Iowa. Joshua, you want to give any update on anything?
Just we're moving forward with details. There's going to be just a reminder. There's going to be camping at Brookside like there was in 2018. Also, we're going to be camping at Stuart Smith Park, and then showers and portable toilets and there's when we met a couple of weeks ago with the RAGBRAI folks, there was 18,000 people that had registered for the event, and this time in 2018 we had 8,000. So this is going to be huge, like Dwayne said, and we're, RAGBRAI has not said where they're going to cap it. They are all we know is they're going to close registration on May 15th. So we'll see where we're at this point. So, or at that point.
Yeah. And
So
that-
you
and
might
that
be-
was-
you might be
that was
ready
Some of
to-
then that was week-long riders. There are also a number of day riders,
right.
and right now, I think, and again, this is several weeks to a month old data
Yeah.
already. I think at that point, I think they had 500 day riders from Carroll to Ames, and then 1,000 day riders from Ames to Des Moines. So we're thinking those numbers will be going up as well.
And I think we had like over 300 RVs already registered. Be more than that, wasn't that? Didn't see
Yeah,
some
yeah.
update?
So as we get
Yeah.
more of this information, we'll
Are they
we'll keep
registered for
giving
the
you updates.
tailgating lots or where?
They're gonna. put
That's
people-
Discover Ames is working that.
But what I'm gonna say is, make sure you have July 25th and 26th open on your calendars because we'll probably need your help.
I'll be out of town.
Last, I just like to lodge a complaint. as in 2018, I did volunteer with the shuttle buses, and some woman like complained at me that the shuttle buses were slow, and I was like, I am volunteering here while you have a fun day of bicycle riding, which I would love to be doing. And I was just like, so anyway, if you're riding, be grateful for those of us who are not riding and volunteering. So anyway.
Yeah, and if you want to help, last time Joshua and I were out there, pretty much all day, all night.
Yep.
Oh my.
So if you want to come and join us, thankfully we had the one lady bring us some wings from B Dubs about midnight. So that was a nice snack.
When is this? July what?
July 25th, Tuesday, July 25th. So
Joshua,
Oh,
are they
it
still
comes-
trying to use the Furman outlot also?
No.
That was kind of a weird one that was discussed.
yeah, that was a request, and we said no.
Good.
We said no because we didn't want to interfere with the operation at Furman because we'll still be open. In fact, last time when they were here in 2018, we had over 600 non-residents pay an admission fee
Well, 'cause
at
people
Take a
on
bath.
that day.
Free bath,
Oh,
Yeah,
staying
yeah,
at
taking
Brookside,
showers
they went out
and
there
stuff. So.
Under the pool around there.
But and for anybody listening at home, we'll be taking care of the campground at Brookside. We are going to allow camping at what we call the flood buyout area, which is along South Fourth. And then this year we are going to allow camping on the east side of Iowa Creek at Brookside by the tennis courts. So it's going to be a quiet campground. So we're trying to look at different spaces. We're also looking at North and South River Valley for non-registered riders because that's always in 2018 that was a real problem. People say, well, can I camp here? Are you a registered camper? No. Well, then where do I go? So now we'll tell them we can where they can go to camp. So with that also, from a volunteer standpoint, Discover Ames is going to be looking for a lot of volunteers in a lot of different areas. So if it is something that you really want to give back to the community, it's a very high intensity, lots of people in a 24-hour period. But it does really help the community. And we really want to bring, put our best foot forward. We're doing what we can, to help Discover Ames have a successful event, have the city be successful. So people really look at this as a positive place to come. So.
Other than that one Greg B person I had a good experience.
Yeah. So, and then the last one, Courtney's been working with PAC, the Public Art Commission, Taylor and Courtney. So you want to go through this, Courtney?
Yeah, and just a little bit of history. So about 2 years ago, prior to my arrival with the city of Ames, there had been some conversation just among staff of putting a mural at the Ames ISU Ice Arena. Obviously, some different obstacles as far as funding and such was presented at the time, but with the Arts Commission, they have expanded Arts in the Park now to encompass different facilities, which the Ames ISU Ice Arena falls under. And so with that, they were able to provide funding for this project to bring it to fruition. And so in February, there was a call for artists that had been sent out. We received 9 submissions. I was actually personally very impressed with the submissions that we got. We narrowed those 9 down to 4. And when I say we, myself, 2 members of the PAC, the city management represented by Brian Phillips, and our purchasing folks were all involved in that. And we narrowed those 9 down to 4. And then we did send some comments back to 4 of those individuals to make some revisions, just to make it reflect really just more of our facility. And of those 4, this was the selected submission. And so this is actually a mural that will be installed hopefully in early August at the Ames ISU Ice Arena. So by the time the facility opens up from its maintenance closure this summer, so you'll see it's located in the stairwell there, and it'll actually transcend all the way down the railing there to the left that you see. So one thing that we're really wanting to encompass is just all the different types of activities that occur in that facility. So, from hockey to public skate to curling to broomball, figure skating, just really be fully encompassing and inclusive to everything that happens there, so everybody can feel a part of it. And so we're really, really pleased with this. This will actually get presented to council since it's being, affixed into our facility. It'll go to council at the next meeting. But we wanted to make you aware of it, not that any of these other projects aren't fun, but a little bit of a different fun project that'll be going in one of our facilities soon.
Heavy duty paint.
What's that?
Heavy duty paint. At least it's not the ball wall.
I really like it.
Yeah, it's cool.
It has really cool retro vibe.
Yeah.
I really like it. So cool. Next item on the agenda is a monthly report from staff.
All of our restroom water is restored to those restrooms for the season. We're currently working on fountains. May pause fountains for this weekend as the weather is supposed to get quite cold this weekend. But hopefully we'll have all those fountains on by May 5th. Had a great community garden meeting with a bunch of renters yesterday. We have over 100 rental or garden rental plots in the city, and all of them are filled. All of them are reserved, which is exciting. So I asked to add that in there.
Is there a waiting list?
There is, I don't know what it is currently right now, but I know that we had over 100 people on the waiting list for this season. So,
Wow.
Time for more gardens.
We're always looking.
Yep.
There's a big pot of land right there to the south.
Yeah.
That corner, that'd be perfect. Get at
Courtney?
least 100 people in there.
Courtney, anything?
I can't compete with opening restrooms in parks, but I just will say we are transitioning outside with this warm weather supposedly coming. So all of our youth programs are transitioning outside, started youth programs, but yeah, it's, as you'll see in the report, a lot of fun programs going on, a lot of people engaging. So
Can I ask a question, Courtney?
sure.
The Zamboni experience has a new strange name.
It is Drive the Ice Resurfacer. Drive the Ice Resurfacer experience, yes.
You could call it drive the.
Did we get in trouble for using Zamboni or?
We did not get in trouble, but Zamboni is trademarked. We
Uh-huh.
do not have a Zamboni in our facility. We have an Olympia. That's the brand. And so, no, we didn't get in trouble, but to be fully representative and not use terms that aren't ours. And so, yes, we did get reached out by Zamboni that we were using their name and
Wow.
we weren't using that type of equipment. So it did catch their eye. So we did rename it to Ice Resurfacer because a lot of people don't know, it could be Drive the Olympia, but a lot of people don't know what an Olympia is either. So to be as clear as we could, yes, Drive the Ice Resurfacer is the name of the class. Still the same function. You still get the opportunity to drive on the ice. You still get an in-classroom session to learn all different things. So still the same experience, just a different name.
Show you how to drift that baby.
It's a great class, by the way. I mean, like I said, my daughter was in the first one and they loved it. And I heard that they've all been full and you've had returners even coming back.
Yes, we've had returners come back. People love leaving. They have a great wealth of knowledge, and a lot of them just reply back to say, "Oh yeah, anytime anybody says about the outdoor ice rinks or the ice arena, they have a few facts in their back pocket they can throw out, and they like to contribute to the conversation." So yeah, Taylor's done a great job with the program, and it's been great to see, and we continue to fill classes. So
We could put up more ice rinks just for that.
I don't think it's doing that well, but it is doing well.
All right. Anything else on that? Any other commission member comments? This is kind of a long meeting for your first meeting, so.
I was going to say.
Usually we're out of here by 5:15, 5:30. All right.
Don't make promises.
Usually. We did have a lot to talk about today. So next meeting is Thursday, May 18th. Same time, same place. I would take a motion to adjourn.
I will motion to adjourn.
Okay. Meeting is adjourned.
That was
Very good.
fun.
Thanks, everybody.
Roll credit.
Do they have credit?